So Shabbat Shalom, ladies of Teshuvah and your families. I am super excited that you're here today. I have a great show planned for you. Yes, let's see what you're doing. Show the ladies what you're doing, and the kiddos. Do you see? So she's making a scarf.
It's like a blanket.
Well, it's like, I think this is going to be like a scarf. So this is relaxing for her. I am the happy hippie Hebrew girl. And there's a long story to why that is my little nickname or whatever. But this is our 15th show. This is the way that we have sought fellowship this year, is to make ourselves available on Shabbat in this ladies group. We're going to look at Rosh Hashanah today, and we're also going to talk about something very important, the soil of your heart. And this has everything to do with Rosh Hashanah. Excuse me. Today, the Gregorian calendar obviously is the March 17, 2018, but the biblical date, according to the restored calendar, is we're in the 12th month, the 28th day in the year 6017 from creation. So we're actually in the 7th millennium. Yay! Who reigns in the 7th millennium? Yes, our King Yahshua. How exciting. All right, and so Rosh Hashanah countdown I have in the corner here. I have the feast countdown in the corner. We are looking at either tomorrow, so one day countdown, or another month. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So I just want you to know, if you're new to the show, these are slides. They're done with Prezi, and they are online. I will give you a link. You know how hard it was for me to find good internet to broadcast from. All of you who have held on with me from the first show know how hard this. Shabbat Shalom, ladies of Teshuvah. There's a lot to cover today, and thank you so much for hanging out with me. Okay, so welcome to a show that is dedicated to transforming your head knowledge, what you read and what you learn, the da'at, into heart knowledge. So head knowledge is da'at, it's data. It's everything that you learn in here. You're going to read, you're going to study, you're going to read from the scriptures, you're going to study from teachers who are helping us understand some of this, and then you're going to say, okay, so now it's in my head. Now, how does it become heart knowledge? Because Papa is all about it becoming part of you, right? Part of your heart knowledge. And yada is the word for heart knowledge, intimacy. So he wants to have intimacy with you. And so we need some dot, wait a minute, dot right here, to undo a lot of the things that we've learned that are false, the inherited lies that we have been taught. So we're going to unlearn that through da'at, but then it needs to turn into yada. It's got to turn into heart knowledge. It's got to turn into what you do. So otherwise it doesn't matter how much head knowledge you have. It has to become heart knowledge, right? That's what my show is dedicated to. Also, my show is dedicated to being a breath of fresh air. So this is a really wild time we live in. There's so much there's so much this, that, and the other thing. There's so much horrible news. There's so much of all of that going on. But then also in the movement of the scattered coming out of the nations, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on there that is kind of like, I don't know. Some of it's just not inspiring, and I want to be a breath of fresh air, because I think we need some new oxygen into this movement. And it's a show dedicated to lighten you up so that you can enjoy each other and enjoy YHVH Elohim. They are hearts. They have hearts. Our Elohim has hearts, and it's. I know that he wants to have us be with him and enjoy him and the family that we're being invited into. And also, this is a show seeking to give you permission to be the beautiful Ezer Kenegdo that you were created to be. All right, this is why our ministry, my ministry, is at this part of our ministry. So we are Teshuvah Ministries, but this part of our ministry is for women. You are an Ezer Kenegdo, and the Ezer Kenegdo is extremely important in the lives of our families and the repentance of our families and Adam, the Adam that is in our life. So I love that subject. I have some videos on that I've already done. The big teaching on Ezer Kenegdo is my workshop. It is the workshop, the convention that we're going to do. So today's show includes Rosh Hashanah. We're going to talk about Rosh Hashanah. Is it in the spring or is it in the fall? We're going to talk about how to find Rosh Hashanah. We're going to talk about the soil of our hearts. You're going to love that. I think you're going to like that section. I'm going to like that section. I think that's going to be my favorite section today for you. We've got a Royal Teens section, a little 5-minute video watching Hadassah at home making something for Shabbat. Your host, I am Rebekah Bat Yehovah, Rebekah Garvin, aka Rebekah Garvin. I am the happy hippie Hebrew girl, and this is a photo that Maggie took at 5 years old of mommy and daddy falling in love again after we were set free. A huge story, but I love that picture. I've been Isaac's wife for almost 20 years, and for some of you who, yes, well, we've also been friends for 35 years. I have a little boy at the door. He's like trying to get in. Where's the parents? I don't know. We began our journey out of man-made religion almost 33 years, at 33 years, not 33 years ago, at 33 years old. All right, I've also been a mother for 18 years, almost 18 years. No, I've been almost 19 years. Will somebody give me some coffee? Oh my! Actually, Maggie made me some yerba earlier, and I finished it. I think I need another one. I've been a Melchizedek feast diva for 10 years. If you don't know what the word Melchizedek is or what that means, there are some things in the show, previous shows that you can watch some lengthy talks on that, and we will do it again. Trust me, it's a very important topic, so we will approach it again. I've been executive director of Teshuvah Ministry for 5 years, and I've hosted over about 200 biblical feasts in my day with my family. So one fun fact about me, I almost went to the hospital a long time ago in my 20s for a caffeine overdose. During college, I was doing art and education major and all this stuff, so I was pulling stupid 30 at night nighters. Anyway, so I had too much caffeine when I drove home one night from Walla Walla to Portland, and almost had to go to the hospital for caffeine overdose. My heart was just like beating so fast. So I don't do caffeine very much at all. I drink matcha. So green tea. So one fun fact about me. Who cares about me, right? Who cares? You guys spent a lot of time just being online with me last week and talking about me, so we don't need to chat about me anymore. But anyway, just part of the show. Just in case you're curious. Right? Yeah. She doesn't care either. All right, so we're going to invite Yehovah's Ruach right now. And I have been doing this all morning because my stomach is a flutter, and you will find out why in a few minutes. But it's called the Avinu Prayer. So the prayer that Yahshua, or aka a lot of people know him as Jesus, as I did before I realized what his true name was. A lot of people pronounce his name Yeshua or Yahshua, or there's a plethora of different ways to spell it and pronounce it. But anyway, he taught his disciples how to pray the Avinu Prayer, which is the Lord's Prayer, prayer to our Father. So we're going to go ahead and do that in Hebrew right now. We're learning it in Hebrew. And if you didn't know, there's a book called A Prayer to Our Father by Nehemiah Gordon and Keith Johnson that you should get to read about how they rediscovered this prayer and what it actually means. Our Father in heaven, may your name be sanctified. That is what he told us to say at the very beginning of the prayer. So, our Father in heaven, may your name be sanctified. Avinu Shabasha Mayim Yitkadesh Shemcha. So I do that again. Avinu Shabasha Mayim Yitkadesh Shemcha. Avinu Shabasha Mayim Yitkadesh Shemcha. He just said, our Father in heaven, may your name be sanctified. Sanctified. That's an interesting thing to learn, how to sanctify the name. And then he said, may your kingdom be blessed. Your will shall be done in heaven and on earth. May your kingdom be blessed. Your will shall be done in heaven and on earth. And you say that this way. V'yitbarach melchutha ratzencha yihye esui b'shamayim u'ba'aretz. And do that again. V'yitbarach melchutha ratzencha yihye esui b'shamayim u'ba'aretz. Catch that? Did you get that? All right. And the next part of his prayer says, give us our bread continually. Give us our bread continually. Okay. V'titein lachmenu timidit. V'titein lachmenu timidit. V'titein lachmenu timidit. All right. And then the next part says, forgive the debt of our sins as we forgive the debt of those who sin against us or who wrong us. So we're supposed to forgive the debt of our sins, ask him to forgive the debt of our sins in the same manner that we forgive the debt of those who wrong us. We better be forgiving those who wrong us, right? Yeah. Because we want him to forgive our debts, how we have sinned. Oh, that's huge. Okay. Umechol lanu chatoteinu ka'ashir anachnu mochalim lachotim lanu. Let's do it again. Umechol lanu chatoteinu, or nu ka'ashir anachnu mochalim lachotim lanu. Umechol lanu chatoteinu ka'ashir anachnu mochalim lachotim lanu. All right, and then he says, to pray, do not bring us into the hands of a test. So you're actually asking Yehovah, saying, don't bring me into the hands of a test, please. Don't bring me into the hands of a test. That's pretty incredible, I think, that Yahshua said that we could pray that. Say, please don't bring me into the hands of a test. I am just too tired. You're just too tired, just exhausted. Like, no more tests. How about blessings? I want blessings, no more tests. So you can actually, this is what Yahshua taught us to pray. Do not bring us into the hands of a test. Okay. And in Hebrew, it is Vial Tivi Hinu Ledein Sion. Vial Tivi Ninu Ledein Sion. You got that? Vial Tivi Nu Ledein Sion. All right. And then the final part of this prayer says, protect us from all evil or peril. Protect us from all peril. Vishom renew mikora. Vishom renew mikora. Vishom renew mikora. That is the last part of that prayer. So how you sanctify the name. You sanctify the name by speaking it. And the name is Yahshua Elohim. A lot of people say Yahweh, Yahweh. There's all kinds of different pronunciations out there. And we're all going to know exactly how to pronounce the name when Yahshua gets here. But I think Papa likes it when we try. You know, when I was an interpreter for the deaf, it was really cool because sometimes I would be at like a mall. And I would see in Portland, there were I kind of lived near the deaf community. And so I would be looking around, just sitting, and all of a sudden I'd see these two deaf people. They were talking, and they were like, their hands were flying, and I could look, and I could actually listen in because I could read sign. At the time, I was fluent in it, not now, but I could read, and so then I would start to say something to them clear across whatever it was, and then they were so excited. They came over because I spoke their language, and I said, I'm slow, I don't know a lot, but they said, oh, it's just so good that you're trying. So when I was in that deaf culture and learning it and around a lot of deaf people and loving a lot of deaf people, they were just so happy that a hearing person was trying, to speak their language. And so I feel the same with Papa. I feel like he's super excited when we try to say his names, like babies trying, toddlers trying to say, words. So, all right, so we'll keep going. Okay, I had some deep thoughts with Rebekah. Deep thoughts with Rebekah. So I have three thoughts today. 3 quick thoughts today. I've had a little more than that this morning, but frankly, I'm a little I'm a little bit exhausted, so I think it'd be really nice to just have three thoughts. But all right, my first thought is, I don't know how many of you have seen the show Extreme Home Makeover with Ty Pennington. This was, I don't know honestly if it's still going on, but it used to be on a lot when we had cable. We haven't had cable or anything for, what has it been, Isaac? 2009 maybe? We haven't had any cable, but we used to watch Extreme Home Makeover with Ty Pennington, and you know, I loved that show for many reasons, but one time at the very end of, you know, watching a season or whatnot, a huge spiritual moment just like impacted me so much. And I think it's a perfect thing to talk about, or just to share with you at the head of the year, you know, because at the head of the year, during Rosh Hashanah, one of the great things to talk about at Rosh Hashanah is creation and paradise, because it is believed, obviously, if time started at Rosh Hashanah and day one being the first day of the year, and you know, Yahweh started creating on the first day. So at Rosh Hashanah, we talk about creation. We think about paradise, and our hearts remember paradise, ladies. If you're frustrated with life and you know it should be different, and you can see in your head something that is a lot more perfect than what you got going on right now, that's because your heart remembers paradise. And so I think on Rosh Hashanah, it's a fabulous thing to talk about. So this show, if you don't know, him and his team would go into different homes that had, you know, applied and all this other stuff, and they would completely redo the home, like to be good for whatever situation those people had going. So one time I saw a home. It was a family that had a deaf person, and I was very intrigued by this story because they were having issues in their home. And so they went, and when they remodeled the house, not only did they make the house just completely beautiful, but they put things into the home where it would help with the whole deaf situation. I think there was somebody in the house that didn't speak sign and all this kind of stuff. So anyway, Ty went through, it was beautiful. What they did was incredible. And you know, at the end of the show, how they would put the big bus between the family and the new home, and you had the street lined with all these people that were cheering the whole thing on, you know, and then everybody screamed, "Move that bus," you know, and so the bus would roll out and would move away, and then would be revealed their new home. I think that moment is so such a spiritual moment, because what is going to happen for us is a move that bus situation. You know, Yahshua is going to scream someday, "Move that bus," and all of us are going to get to see what is going to be our new reality. You know, new bodies and you know, our animals coming back to us that have died, or people coming back that have died, that are resurrected again, that chose to walk with Yahshua, and, you know, and our new home, and it's just going to be so incredible. But it's a move that bus sort of moment. But here's the thing that really struck me, was that Ty could give families everything but one thing. He could not give them hearing back. He could not give him sight back. He couldn't raise somebody from the dead. And yet, how amazing our Yahshua is going to give sight back, give hearing back, give life back to those people who have had all that taken away from them, right? So I just love that move that bus scenario. You know, if you just sit with it for a while and you think, he's going to move that bus, but he's going to do something that Ty Pennington could never do, that Ty Pennington probably dreamed of doing, you know, when he went into these people's homes and heard their stories and stuff, how, you know, even for, you know, us, when we see people and our own stories, how we long to give our children what we know, you know, they need and they want, and we can't. how we long to give our spouses what they need, what we know they need, and what we just can't, but Yahshua is going to. I find so much hope in that. Extreme home makeover moment, yes. All right, so I have my second thought for today. I found this. Okay, this is my story of the blackberry smoothie. And I don't know if I'm going to read the whole thing here, but it's from December 17, 2008. This was a journal entry. And I think I'm just going to read a little bit to you and skim forward, because this is really good for your heart. Okay. It's a little too long to read here, but let me just start. Yesterday, I was out doing errands. My face just pointed north. Get mail, get ink, get bread. I was in that errand trance. I ducked out of the bitter cold into Costco to get peanut butter and cereal, hoping to keep my shopping to a bare minimum. I raced through the aisles to find what I needed. As I made my way to the checkout stand, I remembered that I'd seen cherry tomatoes in the produce area and that Hadassah was really loving cherry tomatoes in her lunches, so I went back. I flew around the corner, and there was a lady with a weird hat on her head holding a pitcher of purple liquid in her right hand and a cup in the other. Through all the bottleneck traffic, I tried to maneuver around her on the left. She caught my eye and said, "Would you like?" I began to shake my head. No. I'd made it past all the other food vendors. I really needed to get home, so I became really intent on getting past her. She wasn't daunted. She took a step towards me. I'll never forget this. She took a step towards me and asked, "Are you sure?" "It's blackberry smoothie, and it's really good." I glanced over the cup she was holding out to me. It did look good. It was 2 p.m. and I had forgotten to eat lunch. I stopped my movement, reached out my hand and said, "Okay," with a tired smile. I turned away from her and kept walking toward the cherry tomatoes with a cup in my hand. I made it to the fridge area and then took one taste of the purple stuff in the paper cup and stopped in my tracks. It was good. Oh, it tasted delightful. The flavor was sweet and refreshing. The texture was perfect in my mouth. I had no idea how much I needed the taste of blackberries in December until that moment. I felt like I had been transported to somewhere other than my Arctic prison of North Idaho and the raging frenzy of commercialism all around me. For a moment, all was as it should be. Even there in Costco, I picked up my cherry tomatoes and made my way through the crowd back to the lady with the weird hat. "This is so good," I exclaimed to her. This time I gave her a real smile and looked into her eyes. "What is in it?" I asked. She listed off the simple ingredients of blackberries, ice, banana, and vanilla creamer. Vanilla creamer will do it. She filled my cup up again, and I released her to go help other people gathered around for a taste. And as I pushed my cart away, I scrambled for a pen in my purse and wrote the ingredients on my hand as I savored the last of the magic drink. Then a thought crept into my mind, a familiar thought. A thought that leads to a non-ending train of thoughts. Walking down the main aisle towards Costco's checkout stand, I instantly began to think of, how can I reproduce this? My family needs to experience this. It's a series of thoughts that has presented itself on the heels of every good thing that I have come into contact with over the past few years. How can I reproduce this? How can I take this truth, this experience, or this movement to the world? How can I share this with others? This would make a great business or a ministry. Of course, these thoughts have some value. They're good thoughts and make great quests. Satan doesn't, or Hasatan doesn't come to me with outright stupid thoughts. I'm on to him mostly. But evil knows my heart. He knows I want to bring the kingdom. He knows I want to sit at Elohim's round table and play a crucial role in the war. And he knows that I do, and that I can. He knows that I am talented and can do a lot of different things. So he comes to me with a lot of ideas that are good. And then the next day, there are more ideas. And the next day, more ideas. He offers me things that he knows I can do, things that he knows will stir my good heart. And what is his goal? I believe it is to offer me so many good ideas that I find myself under a heavy burden of trying to sort them all out. I am so buried in good ideas that I won't be able to move at all. That is his goal. Wanting to fight for the kingdom is a good desire. Nothing wrong with it, except that the thought becomes unrelenting, overwhelming, and eventually crippling. With this train of thought, I get confused about my calling. It's a thought that instantly takes the joy out of the moment and ushers in exhaustion. This hasn't been the state of my life all my life. It's been in the making for years, but over the last year or two, its burden has become stronger, thicker, and the shackles tighter. Yesterday morning, I felt I would be crushed under the weight of the burden that I was bearing. When did I think that was from Yehovah? I guess after all this journey, I still am not above getting caught in one of evil's traps by any means. After I slowly savored the blackberry drink in Costco, missing the point of the whole experience, I was thinking these thoughts. My blender is broken. I can't afford the Vitamix. I could super glue my blender back together. I've got to share this with the girls and with Isaac. They would love this. I want this every morning. Oh, raspberry would be good. Do I have time to stop at the store and get a creamer before I pick up the girls from school? As I was scheming and trying to troubleshoot, I heard Yehovah speak to me. Now you have to understand that it has been a long time since I allowed myself to say that. Over the past 4 months, I know I have heard him, but I haven't made a verbal claim to have heard him. I've been scared to. I've been scared to think I would call the voice wrong. There are reasons for that: heavy disappointment, confusion, a dream that he led me into that didn't actually come to reality. That is another story, but it is a big deal for me to be able to recognize his voice so unmistakably that I had to claim that I heard him. And this was it. It was more of what my deep heart saw, actually, than words. But what I felt was this dialogue that took all of about 30 seconds as I was maneuvering my cart through the traffic in Costco. Why do you always have to do this? He asked. Do what? I asked. Why can't you just enjoy the blackberry smoothie? What happened to the girl who lives and loves in the moment? He said with a firm but rosy cheek giggle, a gleam in his eye. But I do enjoy the smoothie. That's why I want to share it with my family. That's why I want to have it again, I replied. There can't be anything wrong with that. I didn't give that to you so you could replicate it. I didn't give that to you because I wanted you to feel obligated to share it, Rebekah. He took my shoulders in his strong grip and made me stop and look at him. I'm confused. I finally looked him in the eye. That was a gift, Rebekah, just between you and me. It was just a taste of what will be your reality someday. I know that you would like that taste again, but it will never happen again just like it did now. Well, that's silly. Of course I can have some blackberries, ice, and banana and vanilla creamer, and I can throw them all into my blender and have that again, I said. I smarted back. No, you can't, Rebekah. You cannot recreate that moment, that taste, that flavor, or what it did to your heart. The beauty of the blackberry shake and all that it spoke to you isn't safe here. If the beauty of it stayed here, it would lose its power. The glory would be abused. The beauty of that particular blackberry shake called you to me. It called you to look up off the floor of Costco and look for what you have known exists somewhere all your life, paradise. But why did you do that to me? Papa, it only reminds me of what I can't have. I have seen your heart sad. I have had nightmares of you leaving me, Rebekah. It was the perfect time. The lady with the funny hat was right there and you were coming around the corner. She invited you to an experience that I wanted you to have, and your deep heart responded just as I expected. It transported you to another time and another place. I gave that blackberry smoothie to you to remind you that paradise is good, that paradise is coming, that I will reestablish it. What you have known deep in your heart is true. It's there. You will have all that you desire, just not here, not yet. The matrix is thick all around you. I cannot give you more than tastes of the glory to come right now. I wanted you to not lose hope. But evil was right there in the crowd. I saw him. He called to you as he does so unrelentingly, trying to steal away the joy that I wanted you to experience. But I'm so thankful that you stopped and took your eyes off the floor of Costco. In that stopping, I was able to come and evil fled. Epiphany! I hugged him ever so tightly. Savor it, Rebekah. Remember the taste. Don't try to seek after another cup. Enjoy the memory. I will bring you more. I promise, he whispered into my ear. And with that, he disappeared. Even his presence doesn't last long enough here. It too is a taste of what will come. Oh, how I long for that day. He didn't tell me what I was supposed to do with all the questions that have been haunting me over the past year. He didn't reveal to me my calling. Yet lately, deep in my heart, I've been feeling that I know what I should do, and I should do what's in front of me. But Yehovah's voice spoke to my heart. He said, go one step at a time and let that be the destination for now. Doesn't Eldridge say that most of the time Yehovah will speak to what he wants to, not what I demand him to speak about? Funny how this works. a place of his choosing, a time of his timing, a perfect moment. He is the ultimate Navy SEAL, and he is a good daddy. Deep surgery, skilled hands. Something in me was changed forever as I walked out into the fierce cold from the warmth of Costco. I heard. My heart moved with my head. My head has been louder than my heart until this moment. Being there is a dangerous place to live. Now I understood. I was released from my heavy burden. I released to him the raging desire to bring movement to his kingdom through the 20 different ways that have presented themselves to me over the years and that I have been drowning under. I came home with the clarity I have been begging him for. As the family was operating, as it normally does on a Tuesday evening after school, I cranked some music and let the music take my heart where it wanted to. I played it loud. It made me want to dance. The girls and I danced in our small living room, and it was good. I felt a little freer and calmer than I had in months. Okay, so I read the whole thing. I had to read the whole thing because I know Isaac was listening, and I know that Isaac needed that blackberry smoothie. I hope you like that story. That was a long time ago. That was 2008. So, all right. So, this should be number 3, not number 2. Okay. On being born again, just quickly, Yahshua replied, "Verily, truly, I say to you, no one can see the kingdom of Elohim unless they are born again." All right. Flesh is born of flesh, but Ruach is born of Ruach HaKodesh. Do not be amazed that I said you must be born again. The wind blows where it wishes. You hear its sound, but you do not know where it comes from or where it is going. So it is with everyone born of the Ruach HaKodesh. Huge subject right there. Huge. Absolutely huge. Being born of the Ruach HaKodesh. Born of the Ruach HaKodesh. And what did I teach about earlier? About the Ruach HaKodesh being feminine in form? Oh, there's so much about womb, the Ruach's womb. Oh, we're going to go there later. Though we might be born again pretty fast, we are on a slow journey with Papa. It's a walk, and right in front of us now is the invitation to start walking, starting at the head of the years. So I just want to say that I have been privileged to watch people get born again. Like it blows my mind. I never knew what born again meant, really. Not really, in Christianity. I didn't really understand that. But as Israel is coming out of the nations, so many of you right now who are even watching, I have witnessed you coming out. It's like you're being birthed, like you were birthed. And during that time, I mean, it's so, it can go so fast and be so like unbelievably painful, and you're gasping for breath, it feels like, when I'm watching some of you, and how it was for us. Same thing. It was like, man, we binged watch Michael Rood 30 hours, 2 weeks, whatever it was, and it was binge watching, and all we could do was talk about that, and we were so undone with all the lies we had been told. And so I'm watching that with a lot of you women and other women who families, people, whatever. And it just blows my mind. This born again idea, I am really understanding it. Like getting those eyes to see and ears to hear, and out the birth canal. I love being a medulla, right there helping the birth. It's an honor. It's a complete honor. Preparing the soil of our hearts. Oh, this is super awesome. Okay. So Rosh Hashanah is an invitation to start off in step with Papa. So why do I say don't rush into Pesach? Why do I say that? Because I know that it's so tempting right now to just forget the head of the year and go straight to Pesach. Because Papa's not there yet, people, ladies, families. He's not there yet. This is his calendar. And as I teach, we are going to flow with his calendar. It is a rhythm. There's this rhythm to his calendar, his feast days. And we're not going to go in front of him. We're not going to go too fast. We're going to talk about what he wants to talk about when he wants to talk about it. So right now, it's How do we find the head of the year? Is right now it's about calendar. We'll get to Passover soon enough. And you do this rhythm over and over and over, year after year after year, and you can't explore the depths of each one of these feasts. Exhaust! That's the word I'm looking for. You cannot exhaust these feasts. You cannot study them so much that you now know everything about them. He wants to bring you pearls every single year about each one of these, and you're going to add these pearls to your big old treasure box that you have, and it's going to just fill up and grow and overflow. But it's going to, the jewels and the precious gems, the little treasures that he's going to give you for each one of the feasts, they're going to come if you focus on the rhythm and you stay in rhythm with him. So Yehovah is not there yet. Papa's not at Pesach yet. That's why I say don't rush yet into Pesach. Now, it makes the waterfall pretty fast. It makes paddling this river pretty fast when you're staying in step with him and you're like, okay, we're still at Rosh Hashanah, but man, as soon as that's done, boom, we're off onto Pesach. So, okay, that's why I say that. You okay?
Yeah.
You got something in your eye?
A little bit.
Yeah, you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Rosh Hashanah ushers in a new life. Rosh Hashanah, like I said before, is believed to be the day that Papa started creating, day that Yahuwah Elohim started creating. So that's one reason we have a Hawaiian party. We have that because when I think of creation, I'm thinking, oh, tropics, white sand beaches and warm breezes and, tropical fruit and just everything beautiful, just completely pure and innocent and beautiful. And so this is about creation, the one thing to talk about. But it also, one of the things that I wanted to talk about right now is gardening. So the soil of our hearts. What is the condition of the soil of your heart? And I can't remember the slides that I have completely, but since it might be okay. So the quality of the soil of our hearts will affect the harvest in the fall. A few years ago, when we went through our intense wilderness time in a harsh climate, we went on a huge journey with our agricultural exploits. So if you can see this, this is our garden that we started a long time ago and up at the teepee property. And it is really, really, it's clay, I think, Isaac. Wasn't it a lot of clay? And there just wasn't a whole lot of really great topsoil because you're on the side of a mountain, and so it's more rocky. We found rocks everywhere. So the condition of this garden bed was really bad. And we tried planting a garden in this. And I think I have a picture here. There's Maggie. The quality of the soil in the spring affects the harvest in the fall. This is Meg. I know that ring there. I'm sorry about that. But she is in her cowboy boots and her little summer dress, digging into the soil to turn up her little garden. And of course, you can't see that very well. But I am actually watering, and this is the first garden that we had there. And if you look closely, it's pathetic. It's truly pathetic. I mean, the corn in the back here never produced anything. Yes, you are so small, Maggie. The corn never produced anything. These little cucumber bushes, I mean, we may have gotten 1 or 2 cucumbers out of it, but it was a bad year. And it was super bad to plant seeds in because of the compacted soil, the kind of soil it was. It did not produce the fruit that we needed. And so in illustration, the soil of our hearts, is your heart like got compacted? Is it compacted? Is it have nutrients in it? Is it able to receive the seeds that you're going to get during the spring feast? So this is something that I think is very important to talk about at Rosh Hashanah, because in the spring, when you enter the spring feast, he's going to plant seeds in you, and he wants to plant these seeds in you in the spring to reap a huge harvest in the fall. All right. I love how Yahshua says, but the one who received the seed that fell on good soil is the man or woman who hears the word and understands it. He produces or she produces a crop yielding 160 or 30 times what was sown. So Yahshua thinks that the heart's soil is super important. He calls it the good heart. And John Eldridge, his whole ministry is really based on that, like the good heart, getting that good heart, getting the soil of your heart, aerated and mulched, and so that the seeds that Jehovah wants to plant in your heart will grow and produce a great harvest. So this is the property after we began to take care of it. These are terraces that we actually built. So the mountain is, it wasn't like that, but it was like, side of a mountain. And when she sent the link to Back to Eden Garden, we instantly that spring, the second year we were there, that second spring, we wanted to do gardening different. We wanted that soil to be able to receive the seeds and grow a great harvest, because we were thinking, we need food, we need to do this. So this is all the dark going on right here. You see the dark, that is the compost that's going on. And then I believe we're coming this way. So there was compost laid down, and then the wood chips were coming this way. And so we began to build that garden up, and let me tell you, that garden was amazing. Every single year that we tilled it up and added more, not tilled it up, we didn't till, we added compost and then wood chips, compost, wood chips, compost, wood chips. And then the wood chips would hold in the water, the moisture, until it was needed by those seeds. So it would, when a really dry time, the garden was fine, because those wood chips held in the moisture and released the moisture when it was needed. So on the mountain, watering was hard. The first year we did it, we spent 2 hours a day watering. We had to haul water, and it was a pathetic garden. We hardly got anything. It was so depressing. But when we put in this garden and took care of the soil, every single year we had an abundance. I was just continuing to get better and better and better, until by the end I had 5 organic gardens, and we were supporting, how many families do you remember? I don't remember, 3 or 4 families with our garden. We're doing CSA boxes. So today I wanted to talk to you about this condition of your heart. I just want to help point you in that direction a little bit. You're going to prepare your heart to receive the seeds that he wants to plant in you during the spring feast. So this is the garden when it was done. This is the same angle. So I shot that picture right before, was shot from here, and then after the garden came to fruition in the fall, this is what it looked like. Just abundant, so much. It was so different than the year before. It was pathetic the year before. So preparing your heart, these are some things that grew in our garden after we began to take care of the soil. It's huge. I had probably hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of strawberry plants, if not 1,000 strawberry plants. That's why we called it Strawberry Mountain Farm. And then tons of smaller tomatoes. We couldn't really get the big ones to get ripe because our growing season is so short. And then huge sunflowers that year. Oh, it was so amazing. Prepping the soil of our heart is an integral part of gleaning all the goodness out of Rosh Hashanah. Yahshua said that the soil of our hearts was so important. He said that the kind of soil his seeds fell into was crucial to the outcome. He was talking about the heart being able to receive the truth that would grow into becoming nutritious food that would feed ourselves and others. Some people produce gardens that are not only beautiful to look at and walk through, but their gardens can actually feed people. But there are many other hearts who hear the same truth, and their gardens can't stand the storms. They can't produce what they were meant to produce. Instead, they produce chaos. They produce weeds and hardly anything or nothing at all, and they're just hard to look at, pitiful to look at, and you don't even want to walk through them. But I don't know about you, but I want my gardener, YHVH Elohim, to be pleased with the way his seeds have grown to be pleased with the way his seeds have grown in my heart. I want him to want to walk through my garden and enjoy it. I don't want him to look at it and curse it because it bore no fruit. So the first The first year that we were on the mountain, that garden, I cursed. 2 hours a day of watering, a huge amount of work went into that garden and nothing, hardly anything. But when we got the soil right, when we began to take care of the soil, and then those seeds took off and produced hundredfold. I mean, it was beautiful to watch it, and such a spiritual thing to watch as well, understanding how the heart works, understanding, that when you go into the spring feast, when you go into Pesach, you want to have the soil of your heart prepared so that you can receive the seeds, so that they will grow throughout the course of the spring feast, throughout the course of the time you're waiting for Shavuot, and then through all the summer into the fall feast. So the good soil is the new and noble good heart. The good heart is made up of good soil. Therefore, in pursuit of that good soil, we should take some time at the head of the year to prepare our hearts to receive the seeds that we planted during the spring feast season. All right, so how do you cultivate the soil of your heart, right? How do you do this? How do you get this good soil that Yahshua was talking about? So I'm sure there are many ways that the Ruach HaKodesh can do this, but I'm going to offer just a couple suggestions real quickly right here on how to aerate, mulch, whatever your soil of your heart during Rosh Hashanah, or as you are in this feast season of the head of the year. Okay, so rehearse your year. Yeah, rehearsing is like taking a plow to your garden. All right, it's like stirring things up and brings oxygen to the layers of packed and compressed memories. I would contend that it is of extreme importance to enter Rosh Hashanah by rehearsing the past year. Your life matters. The road you have traveled matters. Not just to you and your family, but also to Yehovah. Have you thought of this? Do you think, I hope that many of you, I hope that you think in these terms, like that Yehovah has hearts, that Elohim has hearts, and they have traveled life with you. And if you ignore the things that they have done for you, if you ignore the journey with him, you're basically telling him that his journey with you doesn't matter. What he has done in your life doesn't matter. So when you're rehearsing your life in a way that honors him, you're telling his story. You're honoring him and his name and his story, and how he's walked with you, how they have walked with you. They have been there every moment. They came through for you, where they guided you, where they loved you, where they protected you, where you saw and felt all this. They don't want their efforts on your behalf ignored, and they don't want you to ignore the depth of the sacrifices that you are making to follow them either. So how you recall your journey, though, matters a ton. Okay, so will it be with grumbling that you recall your journey, or will it be with thankfulness that you recall your journey? What attitude have you had throughout the year? What attitude are you going to have at this time of year when you look back over your life this year? A bad attitude, a grudge, or grudge holding, that's toxic soil, people. Nothing can grow in there. You hear me? A thankful and joyful heart is healthy soil. Yes. Oh, heavens. And if you are like most Israel, then you are, generally speaking, probably a forgetter, because unfortunately Israel is known for their forgetfulness. Oh, they forget the good things that Papa has given them. It's just like our forefathers. So John Eldridge says that forgetfulness is our worst enemy. So put on your Sherlock Holmes cap and look to see where Yehovah Elohim has moved in your life this past year, and find the joy that they have established in you. All right, so another thing that you can do that I suggest to do, to do that, my family and I look through photos. We watched home movies over the past year to talk about it. It helps us unpack this last year, because I need those photos. I need those movies because I can barely remember yesterday. Okay. Let's see. And then reflection. This is the number 2 thing. Reflection cultivates the soil of the heart. So it's a little different than rehearsing it. It goes a little bit deeper, as in reflection adds nutrients to the soil, I think. So don't just rehearse like, oh, I did this, this, and this, but reflect, and practice the art of reflection. So when you reflect, the Ruach HaKodesh can aerate your heart's soil. Not every event during your life can be processed, or during this last year can be processed at Rosh Hashanah. That would be super overwhelming. That's way too heavy, way too much for such a short season, especially if you live a lot and you have a lot of things to process. So some things takes years to understand, or to let go or become wise from. But if you're willing to go there, let Papa show you which things that he wants to unpack. He wants to have you reflect on, and he'll give you. He's the gardener, right? So he will decide what needs to be, turned up or added to, or maybe you need some manure put on it, to fertilize it. One of the ways that I do this, just real quick, is I write a year-end letter to do this. So I have some time. I sit down most years. This year, I don't think I'm going to have time. But most years I sit down and I really reflect through writing a big journal about what has happened this year. And that helps me open up my heart and to reflect on the things that have happened this last year. So that is my suggestions for cultivating the soil of your heart during Rosh Hashanah. So for us, that is a big part of our celebration of Rosh Hashanah. So not only are we looking at Rosh Hashanah at the calendar and auditing again how we find his calendar as his feast days. I'll get to that in a second. And making sure that we're in step with him that way, so we enter the feast on the right day. But we're also looking at paradise, the hope that it gives, hope being that it will be restored, and creation. There's so much there you can discuss. But we're also looking at the soil of our hearts, because we also know that springtime is when you begin to think about your garden and you get the soil prepared for your garden. Same thing with our hearts. We're going to get the soil of our hearts prepared for the seeds during the spring feast. How cool is that? I just love his things. All right, we have a teen segment right here for you. I'm excited to share. Hadassah, we have a little cooking show for you. So this is a Royal Teen segment. It's segment number, the second one. So here we go.
Hi everyone, my name is Hadassah, and I'm here to make my berry crepes that I want to make for our Shabbat tomorrow night.
Yay.
So, all organic sugar, organic flour, organic oats, organic butter, and organic ground nutmeg and cinnamon, and also organic lemon juice as well.
So what part are you going to make right now?
Oh, the topping.
The topping,
yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going to put 1/4 cup sugar.
And you have your recipe right there?
Yeah. 1/3 cup sugar is right there. And now I'm going to put 1/2 cup flour.
Yeah.
Cup flour. And then 1/4 cup butter, soft. So I'm going to stir the flour and the sugar in the bowl here. Stir. Now I'm going to put the butter in. And you put 1/4 teaspoon cinnamon. That. And then 1/2 a teaspoon of ground nutmeg. And put that in. And you put 1/3 cup oats, if you do have them in your house. Do like that. And that's it for the topping. Stir that in.
What are you doing right now?
So let's see, I'm putting my hands in the topping here so I can get a crumbly here.
Mm-hmm. Did you wash your hands?
Yeah, I did. Mm-hmm. So
You like to make this for Shabbat, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Oh, my mom likes yogurt with it. Okay, now it's all nice and crumbly here. Now I want to put it in the fridge so it can chill for a little bit. So we had picked blueberries last year up in Sandpoint, and we also picked the raspberries. So what I'm doing right now, I'm putting blueberries in the pan. And
then what are those?
These are wild huckleberries. You don't have to put leaves in, so it's no good. Let's see, you don't need stems. Put the raspberries in. So, and you put your lemon juice in a little bit. Stir it in a little.
That looks super full. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it is full. But you don't have to make it too full. You can always do a small pan if you want. That works too. Okay, so I got the topping out of the fridge, and it's chilled a little bit for about 5 minutes. I turned it on the oven at 350. So let's see, I'm gonna put the topping on top of the berries here, like that.
So this is your own recipe, isn't it?
Yes. My first recipe.
And how do you say crisp?
Crisp. That's what I say.
Hard for you to say, huh?
Just have to get on the edges here. Sometimes that's not on the topping a little bit.
Okay.
I think that's too much, but okay, it's all on. Okay, so I want to put this in the oven right now. But it is almost there at 350. Put it in the oven like that, and wait for about 45 minutes until it's brown, and I'll see you after it's done. Okay, so the crisp is now ready and it's done.
Ooh, was it bubbling?
A little bit on the edges. So now it's for a taste of it. I'm gonna take some of this. See that? That looks really good. It's kind of juicy a little bit, but
you could probably put a little cornstarch in there.
Yeah, a little bit. I have plain yogurt, just organic Greek yogurt, plain. And now I'm just gonna do this right here.
So what are you gonna do with that?
I'll put some organic stevia in it, a sweetener.
Okay.
I'm gonna do that. Mix that in. Make it sweet. Now if I taste, see how it tastes.
How is it?
Oh, that was really good. I hope you teenagers will make the asparagus crepes, which is very easy to make for a Shabbat dinner. So please enjoy it.
Yay!
Bye!
Bye, Hadassah.
Bye!
Thanks for doing this for my show.
Yep.
Good job. And it was super good. She gave me a whole plate of it when we were done shooting. So fun. So it's Lashana Tova tomorrow, and that means Lashana Tova tomorrow means a good and for a good year. But we'll see about whether it's really Lashana Tova yet. You can become my patron for as little as $12 a month, and I super need your help. So, because this is a lot of work, and I do it full time going, but after this. So I'm going to show you my Rebekah's show and tell. Where is that? Want to grab that for me? Up here, there's the word shofar, which you can't see, and do you think you could try? Okay, first my story. Yeah. This is not your typical shofar in the sense of, you see all those like long ones. We actually bought one of those a long time ago, spent like $250 on it, and just could not blow it for the life of us. So we returned that. We didn't have anything for a long time, and I think just entering into the whole Hebrew experience, the shofar is amazing, and it has so many profound things that teach us about how to have a clear voice kind of thing, how to speak clearly and sound the trumpet call, so that everyone will hopefully wake up and get eyes to see and ears to hear and get to the happily ever after, right? So, but we couldn't afford the other one, we couldn't blow the other one, so we returned the other one. But it came up to, we were at the teepee, and it came up to the head of the year, and we were so cold and so tired of the snow that we said, we're out of here, we have got to get south. So we got in our truck and we started driving south, and before we got out of town, we stopped at a friend's store. It was an antique store, and we were looking around and saw this, and he gave us a great deal on it, $18 for something. I think this is, I want to say World War something, because I think this is super old. And it could be before that, for all that matters. I don't know what the date is. I don't know how old this is. But anyway, it's super easy, super cheap. We could afford it because we had hardly any money when we were at the teepee. And Hadassah, even Hadassah could blow it. And so this picture is of us in Arizona when we finally got there. We tried to get somewhere for the head of the year so that we could spot that new moon and blow the shofar, which Papa had given us. He's like, you're not going to have it before I tell you you can have it. And he provided for the shofar right when we needed it, right before. So this is Hadassah on top of Isaac's shoulders, and Maggie, they're all looking out for the new moon.
And then also,
see if I have, this is them spotting it, Isaac's trying to help Hadassah spot the new moon there. And then this is Isaac blowing this shofar in Arizona after we spotted it up in here somewhere. So Hadassah, could you try to blow it right now? I didn't ask you to do this before, but could you try?
Not in the library.
Why not? Just do. It's okay. Try. Yeah, do you want her to try? Let's try. She's got braces on too, so go try. Try.
And then also my dad blows the
be careful.
shofar as well.
Yes, I can't blow it worth anything. I can't do it, but she can. Don't hold back though. Just give it. Just bellow. There! Yay! Good job, Hadassah. Very nice. I love how Isaac blows this. He used to blow it up at the teepee to welcome in Shabbat and our neighbors far, far away. Well, some close and so far. All right, so just real quickly, a healthy you, just kombucha. Did you know that kombucha will get rid of a stomachache like that? So last time I talked about SEIT, how amazing it is. Kombucha, how many of you love kombucha? I love kombucha. So kombucha, we found, when I was little, my mom would give us 7-Up if we had a little stomachache or a little upset stomach. But that has sugar in it and stuff. And kombucha is awesome. So when we were at the teepee, this is how I made my kombucha. That Scooby right there is just, oof. Yeah, I see a lot of you like kombucha, don't you? That Scooby or however you say it is pretty insane. It's awful looking mushroom scary thing. But that's exactly how it looked in our teepee. So lots of probiotics, and it makes a stomachache or upset stomach go away right away. So I just thought I would share that with you if you don't know about kombucha. So this lady summarized Ephesians 3:20-21, Romans 8:6, Isaiah 40:30-31, and Revelation 5:13. And this is what she says. She said, she summarized, and she said this is Yehovah Elohim speaking to you, to me, to us. Come to me with positive expectations, knowing that there is no limit to what I can accomplish. Ask my Ruach HaKodesh to control your mind so that you can think great thoughts of me, Do not be discouraged by the fact that many of your prayers are yet unanswered. Time is a trainer, teaching you to wait upon me, to trust me in the dark. The more extreme your circumstances, the more likely you are to see my power and glory at work in the situation you find yourself. Instead of letting difficulties draw you into worrying, try to view them as setting the scene for my glorious intervention. Keep your eyes and your mind wide open to all that I am doing in your life. Isn't that cool? I think that's awesome. Isaac, listen to that. Come to me with positive expectations. Think great thoughts of me. Trust me in the dark. And view them as all these issues and unsettled things as setting the scene for his glorious intervention. So he's going to come like a superhero into the moment and rescue you out of whatever situation you don't want to be in. All right, so we're going to talk about Rosh Hashanah for a few minutes. It's a time to talk about calendar, talk about creation, and talk about the soil of our hearts. So we've already talked about the soil of our hearts, and I've kind of been mentioning these things here. So we're going to get right into it. Rosh Hashanah is primarily about those three things. It is primarily about, number one, it's a time to remember paradise. Sorry for the halo. It's a time to remember paradise, tropical white sand beaches, beautiful clear blue water, and why we need the upcoming cycle of the feasts in the first place. You notice this, the difference between that beach and that beach? I could not believe that photo, but it's true. It's I forgot where it is exactly, but the idea that our paradise has been so polluted with sin, so super polluted, that this is a great time to remember that why we need Passover, why we need unleavened bread, why we need the spring feasts, right? So the paradise that he gave us has become incredibly polluted with the fall, and this is why we need the feast. This is why we need Passover in the first place. So this is a great time of year to consider that. So there's a little rafter right there. He's going to raft the river. Number two, Rosh Hashanah is about, it's a time to consider how to reckon time to find Yahweh's calendar, so that we can get in the river to float Yah's feast. So we're going to float his rhythm, like I showed you last week. His rhythm starts with Rosh Hashanah, right here, Rosh Hashanah, all the way down to Purim. This is his rhythm. So it's there's the Rosh Hashanah, Pesach, unleavened bread, first fruits, Ascension, Shavuot, Yom Teruah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, Shemini Atzeret, Hanukkah, Purim, and then we have new moons every month and a Shabbat every 7 days on the seventh day. So that is the rhythm. That's the calendar, but we're going to reckon time to find that calendar. That is one thing to consider during Rosh Hashanah. And the third thing to talk about at Rosh Hashanah is it's a time to consider the soil, the state of your heart, the state of the soil of your heart, so that you can receive the seeds of the spring feasts and reap a harvest in the fall. So does it look like that? Yuck. Yuck, 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 yuck. Or does it look like that? It's a little bit better. Although Back to Eden Garden would make that even better than that. All right. Calendar chaos to wear us out. This is very interesting. Daniel 7:25 says, and he, Hasatan, he's talking about Hasatan, shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the set apart, or the saints, the set apart people of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. So I've highlighted the part that says that he thinks to change times. So this whole calendar chaos mess, which calendar to follow? Is it the rabbinical calendar, equinox calendar, Enochian calendar, patriarchal calendar? All of them, and Gregorian and Julian and all this other stuff. Oh my gosh, it's just, calendar chaos, and it is here to wear you out. It's here to wear you out. This is what he's doing. He can't fight the fact that we're all coming out of the nations. This is prophesied. It's going to happen because Yahweh said he wouldn't forget any of us, and he's going to do it no matter what Hasatan does. So Hasatan's like, well, how can I take them out? Well, let's throw a whole bunch of chaos making in at them, and that will take them out. Burden them down with all kinds of things, and one of those things is this calendar chaos. So I love Daniel 7:25. Just so you know, I don't know if I have a page for this, but the biblical calendar in the spring, ooh, this shows you that when you hit Rosh Hashanah, you count 14 days, and then you have the 7-day Feast of Unleavened Bread. Then you have, all these, and how to find Shavuot and all this stuff. So beautiful, little simple calendar that I will probably give you in the next little bit. Also the 7th month. So the first month has all the spring feasts in it. The 7th month has all the fall feasts in it. And remember, if you're new to the show and you're new to the idea of this, the Messiah, Yahshua HaMoshiach, has fulfilled the spring feasts. He has not fulfilled the fall feasts. Right? So he has not fulfilled the fall feast, right? And so if you love the Messiah, you are going to want to study the fall feasts and know about them so you can watch and make sure that you are prepared for the fall feast. When people say, well, I love the Messiah and everything, and he fulfilled all the spring feasts, and they're very clear about that. And my next question is, well, why aren't you celebrating the feasts? Because if you want the king to come back and he fulfilled all the spring feast, but he hasn't fulfilled the fall feast, it's he's going to fulfill the fall feast to the day and the hour, just like he did the spring feast. So if you love the Messiah and you can't wait for him to come, then get off your duff and be celebrating the fall feast and to learn about them so you can know when he's going to come and how he's going to fulfill them. And because, when I was in Christianity, a lot of times, everybody would be like, oh, the Jews missed him. They missed him. They didn't recognize him. Oh, people, if we don't learn about and celebrate the fall feast, then we're going to miss him then. And then where are we? We've just looked at somebody else's speck and we've got a log in our own eye, right? So, all right. So I also have this it's very handy dandy, but it's more of a technical calendar that helps you to see when the feasts are and how to find them that I did for the Hebrew Roots Club. All right, take out your worksheet. All right, do you have a pen, Hadassah? Yeah. Awesome. Here, give me those. We walk with Papa, right?
Yeah.
Slowly walk. Sometimes we run when he runs. We walk. And it's also a dance.
Head of the year.
Head of the year. So Rosh means head and Shana is year, okay? So Rosh Hashanah is head of the year. The next question is, when do you believe or when have you been taught that Rosh Hashanah is? Is it in the spring or the fall?
Spring.
It's in the spring. So that's what she has been taught. How have you been taught? When did you think Rosh Hashanah was? So many people believe it's in the fall, but we're going to look at that. All right. Why is finding the correct Rosh Hashanah head of the year? Remember, we're talking head of the year. Why is it so important to find the correct Rosh Hashanah? Anyone? Hadassah, do you know? Because all of the feast dates depend on the head of the year. So when you find that head of the year, then you count 14 days to Passover. That's what the scripture says to do. In the month of Aviv, you came out of Israel, and 14 days later, you celebrate Pesach. And you got to find Pesach. In order to find the Feast of Unleavened Bread, you have to know all of that to continue on through the spring feast. And then you need to know what month you're in, the right month, so that you show up to the fall feast at the right time. So it's because all the feast dates depend on it, on starting in that river at the right time. Okay, so how did the fall feast of Yom Teruah become Rosh Hashanah? So I'm going to read to you Nehemiah's article that says, it's just a quote from Nehemiah. Today, in his article, Yom Teruah became Rosh Hashanah. It was posted on September 26, 2014 on nehemiahswall.com. He said, today, few people remember the biblical name of Yom Teruah, and instead it is widely known as Rosh Hashanah, which literally means head of the year, and hence also New Year's. The transformation of Yom Teruah, or the Day of Shouting, into Rosh Hashanah, or New Year's, is the result of pagan Babylonian influence upon the Jewish nation. The first stage in this transformation was the adoption of the Babylonian month names. In the Torah, the months are numbered as first, second, third, etc. During their sojourn in Babylonia, our ancestors began to use the pagan Babylonian month names, a fact readily admitted in the Talmud. Jerusalem Talmud, Rosh Hashanah, I don't know how to read it's 1 verse or 256d. I'm not quite sure how to read that, but quoting from the Jerusalem Talmud, says the names of the months came up with them from Babylonia. So if you call the different names of the month, Tishri and all the different names, Nisan and everything, then you're actually just continuing to promote the Babylonian pagan sun god kind of names of the months, because it's first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and the first one actually has a name. It's Aviv. All right, one field of Babylonian religious influence was in the observance of Yom Teruah as a New Year's celebration. From very early times, the Babylonians had a lunar solar calendar very similar to the biblical one. The result was that Yom Teruah often fell out on the same day as the Babylonian New Year's festival called Akitu. The Babylonian Akitu fell out on the first day of Tishri, 7th month, which coincides with Yom Teruah. First day of the 7th month was their New Year's Day, called Akitu, but it was the Jewish holiday of Yom Teruah. When Jews started calling the 7th month by the Babylonian name Tishri, it paved the way for turning Yom Teruah into a Jewish Akitu, or a Jewish New Year's. At the same time, the rabbis did not want to adopt Akitu outright, so they Judaized it by changing the name of Yom Teruah, or the Day of Shouting, to Rosh Hashanah, New Year's. The fact that the Torah did not give a reason for Yom Teruah no doubt made it easier for the rabbis to proclaim it as the Jewish New Year's. It is outright bizarre to celebrate Yom Teruah as New Year's. This biblical festival falls out on the first day of the 7th month. However, in the context of Babylonian culture, this was perfectly natural because they celebrated Akitu on that day. All right. And then one other thing is interesting. In contrast to Babylonian paganism, the Torah does not say or imply that Yom Teruah has anything to do with New Year's. On the contrary, the Feast of Sukkot, which takes place exactly 2 weeks after Yom Teruah, is referred to in one verse in Exodus 23:16 as the going out of the year. This would be like calling January 15 in the modern Western calendar the going out of the year. The Torah would not describe Sukkot in this manner if it intended Yom Teruah to be celebrated as a New Year's. Okay, that's pretty cool. That helps to confirm for us that Rosh Hashanah in the fall is the first day of the 7th month, and it is not Rosh Hashanah. Yom Teruah in the fall is not Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is the head of the year in the spring. Yom Teruah is a completely different feast. So if you didn't know that, then perhaps you should study a little bit more, or maybe that was enough. All right, so that was Nehemiah's article. So how did the fall feast of Yom Teruah become Rosh Hashanah? You're going to say that the rabbis changed Yom Teruah to Rosh Hashanah because of Babylonian pagan sun god worship influence. It's a lot to say. I'll tell you how to say that later. All right, we'll write it down later. All right. I should have these numbered, right? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Question number 5. What did Yahshua do on Rosh Hashanah? All right. So one thing that I absolutely love, which I failed to bring it today, is that Chronological Gospels by Michael Rood and his team, because it basically puts Yeshua's life in chronological order. So you can actually see what he was doing on what day and what feast, what feast he was showing up to, and what he spoke about, what he taught on at those feasts. And you can get a huge insight into what that feast is about by listening to what our rabbi taught on or seeing what he did on those feast days. And interesting, John 1:29 in the chronological Gospels tells us that Yeshua came out of the wilderness on that day, and Yohanan ben Zechariah, or John the Baptist, was standing on the where he was baptizing in the Jordan, and he said, "There is the Lamb of YHVH Elohim." So Yeshua had been mikvahd, he was mikvahd earlier before he went into the wilderness by Yohanan ben Zechariah, and the dove came and landed on his shoulder. But it wasn't until he came out of the wilderness in the same place that he went into the wilderness, right there at right where Yohanan was baptizing or mikvahing, and when he came out of the wilderness was the first day of the year. It was Rosh Hashanah. It's so interesting because it's a new time. It's a new season and it's a new year, and he was going to start his 70-week ministry on Rosh Hashanah. How cool was that? So what he did is he came out of the wilderness. I want to come out of the wilderness on Rosh Hashanah. Woohoo! Okay, so you're going to write down what he did on Rosh Hashanah. He came out of the wilderness, and he was recognized by Yohanan ben Zechariah as the Lamb of YHVH in John 1:29. Number 6, did Yeshua ever confront the religious leaders about the calendar they were following? Here, you can write, you wrote that right there. Good. Big question. This is huge. This is absolutely huge. Okay, did he confront the rabbis and the religious leaders did he confront them about calendar? He confronted them about so many other things. He challenged them. He put them to the wall on so many issues, but he never once challenged them on calendar, people. He never confronted them. If you can show me where he confronted them, then no, he didn't. He absolutely did not challenge the calendar at that time. So they must have been doing the right calendar. They must have been honoring Papa's calendar correctly at that time, because he never challenged them. We don't have any recorded conversation or any teaching that they were on the wrong calendar. He challenged them on a ton of other things, but not this one. All right. As in the reckoning of how they were finding the calendar. All right, so what reckoning, I said calendar, what calendar, what reckoning were they following during Yeshua's time? Okay, so during Yeshua's time, they still had the temple services, right? So they were still doing it that way, because it wasn't until 70 AD that the temple was destroyed. So you had, they were finding the calendar, they're reckoning the time in the way that the Torah tells us to, the Aviv, barley, and sighted moon. They were doing that because they were still having temple services. So they were still doing all that stuff. Okay, how to reckon time according to the scriptures. Reckoning of time means, now I kind of talked about this last week a little bit. Reckoning of time is how you find the calendar. All right, so reckoning time means method by which we determine when the calendar is. Okay, so, and then the next question is, we reckon time to find Yahweh's calendar. Okay, so the calendar again, here, let me show this one more time. The calendar is this. This is his calendar, the feast days. Okay, this is his calendar. Now we want to find the calendar. How do we find the calendar? That's called reckoning of time. So how do we reckon time to find his calendar? Okay. So reckoning of time is method by which we determine how to find the calendar. And then we reckon time to find Yahweh's calendar, Yahweh's calendar. All right, go on to the next question on the next page. The first mention in the scriptures is where? It is there's Exodus 12:2. There's Exodus 13:3-5. There's Exodus 23:15, which I like because it's in the covenant, in the Melchizedek covenant. There's Exodus 34:18, and there's Deuteronomy 16:1. The first mention in the scriptures. This shall be to you the first month of your year when you came out of Egypt. I believe that's in Exodus 12:2. So the month of Aviv. I want you to look at those scriptures later on and figure out where the first mention is. But these are the first mentions of the Aviv as being the first month of our year, the first month that we came out of Egypt. Hadassah loves to search out the scriptures.
It says
Exodus 34, what is that, 18?
Yep.
Okay, what does it say?
It says Celebrate the feast of unleavened bread. For 7 days eat bread made without yeast, as I commanded you. Do this at the appointed time in the month of Abib, for the month you came out of Egypt.
Yes, the month of Aviv. That's when we're supposed to be celebrating these feasts. Okay, great. Thank you, Hadassah.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. The first month is the only month that Yehovah names. What is its name? We just read it. Hadassah just read it. Aviv. Aviv or Abib. What are Yehovah's instructions? What is the Torah protocol to reckon time? The biblical year begins with the first new moon. So I am reading from the Aviv barley in the biblical calendar on Nehemiah's wall. It's an article he wrote. Biblical leap years. Okay. The biblical year begins with the first new moon after the barley in Israel reaches the stage in its ripeness called Aviv. The period between 1 year and the next is either 12 or 13th months. The lunar months, because of this, it's important to check the state of the barley crops at the end of the 12th month. If the barley is Aviv at this time, then the following new moon is Chodesh HaAviv, the new moon of the Aviv. If the barley is still immature, we must wait another month and then check the barley again at the end of the 13th month to see if it's Aviv or not. Because the point was that you needed barley to be fully ripe to offer to Papa on first fruits, which happens about 21 days into that first month, because you have 14 days of Passover, 7 days of unleavened bread, and then in there you have the Feast of First Fruits on the day after the weekly Shabbat on there, and you're supposed to offer him the grain offering of your first fruits before you eat of it. So it had to be fully ripe, and then they were going to eat of it the next day. But so the barley had to be in a certain stage of ripening in order to be able to be ready for that first fruits offering. So this is what he is talking about. All right, so we're going to, let's see here. What are Yah's instructions to reckon time? So basically, Aviv, sighted moon. Aviv, barley, sighted moon. That's what you can write in here. Sorry, Hadassah. Aviv, barley, sighted moon right here. In a place where there are 4 distinct seasons, the stupidity of a New Year's in January is stupid to have New Year's in January. Rosh Hashanah ushers in spring instead. We see green things growing, it makes perfect logical sense. New Year's rolls around when the snow melts and the earth is renewed. How beautiful is that? All right, there are 2 conditions or steps that have to be met to find Yehovah's Rosh Hashanah, and I just mentioned them. So what are they? Condition number 1 is the barley has to be Aviv in Israel, not in Idaho. If it was waiting to be Aviv in Idaho, we would never have Rosh Hashanah. Okay, we wouldn't have it until like July. Do you know how hard it is to teach this on someone? It's pretty tough on one hand. On one, because it's just so easy on one hand, but then trying to bring everybody on board is... Oh, okay, let me see. All right, condition 1, Aviv barley. So the step 1 to know when Rosh Hashanah is, we have to find Aviv barley in Israel. So the scriptures actually teach us what Aviv means, and how wonderful is that? Nehemiah Gordon is responsible for helping us bring this up and help us to learn how to do this. So in his article, he writes, Aviv indicates a stage in the development of the barley crops. This is clear from Exodus 9:31-32, which describes the devastation caused by the plague of hail. So it says in that verse, and the flax and the barley were smitten because the barley was Aviv and the flax was Givol. And the wheat and the spelt were not smitten because they were dark, or Ephilut. All right. The above passage relates that the barley crops were destroyed by the hail while the wheat and the spelt were not damaged. Remember with the plagues and how there was that hail that came? To understand the reason for this, we must look at how grain develops. When grains are early in their development, they are flexible and they have a dark green color. So they're flexible, they're young. So the hail comes and it just pushes them over and they come right back up. It doesn't do anything, it doesn't break them. That is the dark green color, so it's considered dark. As they become ripe, they take on a light yellowish hue and become more brittle. So if the hail came and they're more brittle, they would break when the hail came.
The reason that the barley was destroyed and the wheat was not is that the barley had reached the stage in development called Aviv, and as a result had become brittle enough to be damaged by the hail. In contrast, the wheat and the spelt were still early enough in their development at a stage when they were flexible and not susceptible to being damaged by hail. The description of the wheat and the spelt as dark indicates that they were still in the stage when they were in deep green and had not begun to lighten into the hue which characterizes ripe grain. Okay, so that's how we know. So the scriptures is defining what Aviv means. Remember, that's kind of what we're after here. Let's see, and then it talks about Parched Aviv. So we know from several passages that barley, which is in the state of Aviv, has not completely ripened, but has ripened enough so that its seeds can be parched in the fire. This is what Aviv is. It needs to be able to be eaten. The very first moment it can be eaten, there's a little bit of dough inside the seed, or in the, what is that called, Isaac? The hole. So if it's too early, then it's just, you squeeze it, I guess, and there's just water that comes out. But at the time of when it's Aviv, means when you squeeze that little kernel, you've actually got some dough in there. So it's not it's not a hard inside at all. So it's not like your hard wheat seed, but it's not just producing liquid, it's got some dough to it. That would be Aviv. When we listened to Nehemiah in the fields a few years back, he was husk. Is that what it is a husk? Okay. So when Nehemiah was actually in the field a few years back, he was broadcasting from the field, kind of explaining. He wasn't videoing, but he was explaining real clearly what it meant. So there is a ton of verses about Parched Aviv. Just so you know, I'm editing my big long video, teaching video that I did last year, and I go through this in much more depth. Well, as deep as I can go. All right, later. 8A, where is that? Oh, 8A, we're over here. Okay, so I got to wrap this up here in a second, which I'm not ready, so I don't know where that one is. Okay, so there's dark, which is green, so they're flexible. There's Aviv, which means they could be ruined by the hail, and then there's caramel when they're completely ready. So there's 3 stages of a barley right here, and the scriptures teach us what Aviv actually means. So next question, what logical reason would we need the barley to be Aviv at Rosh Hashanah? I already said we need it to be Aviv at Rosh Hashanah so that 21 days later it is fully ripe to offer to Yehovah as a way of offering, because you couldn't eat of the first fruits until you had waved it in front of Yehovah. So there you have. Now, condition number 2 to figuring out when Rosh Hashanah is to cite the new moon after it is Aviv. So Rosh Hashanah is the new moon. Rosh Chodesh, sorry, is the new moon. Scriptures that teach about observing the new moon, all those verses there, you can look up. True worshipers are obligated to observe the new moon. New Testament believers observed the new moon, and it will be celebrated when Yahshua returns. The new moons are the beginning of months. So I love this word shamar. So I actually have it up here. Shamar. So I love Deuteronomy 16:1 because it's so clear. Deuteronomy 16:1 says, Shamar, the month of Aviv, and to celebrate the Passover to Yehovah, your Elohim. For in the month of Aviv, Yehovah, your Elohim, brought you out of Egypt by night. So we're clearly talking when he brought them out of Egypt, which was Passover. Shamar is translated to be the word observe, and that word is 8104 in Strong's Concordance, and it means to look narrowly for, to watch for, to guard, and to search for. Okay, so we do that both for the barley in the land, and we do that for the new moon. So you have to watch narrowly for that narrow piece of time when the barley's Aviv. Watch for that narrow moment of time when the moon is new. And it's interesting because he's saying look down on the ground for that observation in the land, and then look up for the observation in the sky. 2 witnesses. 2 witnesses, that just came to me. 2 witnesses, one in the ground and one in the sky for when the new year starts. So the two conditions to finding the head of the year: Aviv, stages of the barley, dark Aviv, caramel, Exodus 9:31 to 32, and Leviticus 2:14 talk about that. And then to observe, which means is shamar. We're supposed to observe, watch narrowly for, and then guard it, as in keep it, do it, teach it, proclaim it, kind of thing. Now, I know that you see some light rings on here, but basically, can you see anything? Can you observe anything on this dark? Nothing? Okay, so I know that you see reflection. I can't take that away, but this is just black. Okay, there's nothing to observe here. Nothing to observe. Now, can you observe something there? Yes. So if any, thank you, Maggie. Brilliant. No, you couldn't see anything there, but look, can you observe this? It's so super thin, so super small. The very first day of the new moon when it shows up, it's so tiny. When we first started looking up, we were like, we don't know how to look up in the sky. We have no idea, where that new moon is. So we were looking all over the place, right? So I'm going to tell you something. If people tell you that the new moon is a dark moon, laugh in there. Just forget it and walk away. And say, talk to the sparkle and talk to the hand. Because you cannot observe, as we are commanded to do in the Torah, Deuteronomy 16:1, we are commanded to observe the month, the Hodesh, of the Aviv, of the barley. So we're supposed to observe in the heavens and observe in the ground. How can you observe, people, a dark sky? There is nothing to look narrowly for, okay? You're going to look narrowly for this. And it's going to be up there. It's going to be really stunning. And this is why we celebrate the new moon out and about. We go out to fields or to the beach, or we're walking downtown or something, so that we can look up in the sky. And we're all like looking really hard. Where is that? We're looking narrowly for. We're searching for. We're like, where is that new moon? Where is it? That's what he told us to do. So you cannot say that a dark moon is the new moon. It's not, because he's telling you to observe it. And the only way you can observe it is if you see something, have something to see in the sky. Okay? So let's go on here real quickly. And so the next page. So according to Papa Yehovah, when is his Rosh Hashanah? Is it in the spring or in the fall now? Yay, it's in the spring. It's not in the fall. That's when the rabbis wanted to cover up the true meaning of Yom Teruah. Maybe they didn't know, but perhaps they did. But at least Hasatan wanted that covered up. So he made sure that happened. So he wouldn't know that feast was all about the return of the king. Yom Teruah is about the return of the king, if you didn't know it. So awesome. Okay, don't get me started. I just love his feast. I love his rhythm. I just totally love it. It's freaking me out a little bit because I'm not sure what we're doing tomorrow. So I'm, okay, calm down, Rebecca. You're walking with Papa. Just walk with him. It's okay. It'll be all right. We'll figure it out. We're either going to throw a flash Rosh Hashanah Hawaiian party, tomorrow night, or we're going to wait. We'll let you know. But anyway, all right, 3 reasons why we should not, I've got so many typos in here, I'm super sorry. 3 reasons why we should not celebrate Rosh Hashanah in the fall. Because, number 1, that isn't when it is. We want to be in step with Papa. So don't celebrate it in the fall. Don't mention that Rosh Hashanah is in the fall. Don't give away, don't do that. Number 2, distraction from what Yom Teruah is about. So write down the second reason why we should not celebrate Rosh Hashanah in the fall is because it's a distraction from what Yom Teruah is actually about. And number 3, we should not celebrate Rosh Hashanah in the fall because unity in error is not unity in the Messiah. Unity in error, E-R-R-O-R, is not unity in the Messiah. So there is a lot of people out there that choose a reckoning of time or a calendar, as you want to say, however you want to say that, based on different reasons. So some people want to have unity with brother Judah. Well, they're in error. So that's probably not a good idea. Of course, we love brother Judah and we want to be together on as much as we can, but we can't when it's in error. So some people know that this is the way the scriptures talks about it, but they want their motives, the reasons for choosing a calendar is because of unity. They want to be in unity above all else. Well, I want to be in unity with Yehovah above all else. I don't care what man is doing. I want to know what Papa is doing. So for me, all I want to know is, Papa, what do you want? What did you say here? And I want to do it here, even if it means that my journey is a little lonely because there's so many other people doing different calendars. And by choosing this one, I don't get to celebrate with a lot of people because they're on other calendars. But I'd rather be in unity with Yahuwah, Elohim, and Yahshua, and the Ruach HaKodesh than in unity with people and man-made. I know that they want assembly. They want people to show up. So they're going to give people eyes to see and ears to hear and give truth to people. And so that's what I'm fishing for, is people who see the same. And hopefully we can all get together. And when Yeshua comes back, it will be like, he'll call it from Jerusalem. He will call it, and we'll all show up, and we're going to have such a fabulous time, such a fabulous party all the time. We're going to be partying all the time. It's going to be so fun. And I want to be there. Quickly summarize how the scriptures say we are to find Rosh Hashanah. Okay, so when the barley is Aviv, then the next new moon is the first day. So now we're trying to, there's the loves, thank you. So we're trying to find out if it is strictly the barley around Jerusalem that we need, the wild barley around Jerusalem we need to look at, or the wild barley in the land. That's kind of the question on Isaac and my heart right this moment. All right, so all other calendars, equinox, patriarchal, Gregorian, rabbinical, Julian, are man-made based on man's calculations and are creating chaos in the body of Messiah. Can the body of Messiah judge each other in regards to new moons and festivals? Yes. Colossians 2:15-17. Now the trick is finding out who the body of Messiah is and who is not part of the body of Messiah. That's the trick, because there's a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing that you need to be careful of. Okay. What are some of the reasons that Yehovah chose to have us reckon time like this? Because he wants to walk with us, so we will not run ahead of him. So anyone can keep it. The kid can keep it. A child can keep it. A shepherd in the field, an illiterate person can keep this calendar. It doesn't require math, people. It doesn't require a big computer program. It doesn't require you being an elite, educated person. Yehovah is not an elitist. He wants everyone to be able to do this. And it forces us to rely on him completely. All right, so it's a walk. We have to practice surrendering to and looking only to him. So when will we know if the new moon is Rosh Hashanah? When the barley's Aviv. Yay. All right. I'm going to let you guys finish the last of this, different traditions and stuff. So I'm going to let you finish the last of that worksheet by yourself, and I am going to scroll through the rest of my slides here. So just Teshuvah Ministry's calendar statement here. Basically, days are reckoned as evening to evening, as the scriptures talk about. Weeks start at sunset at the end of the weekly Shabbat. Weeks, 7-day weeks. The months start at the sighting of the new moon, the observable new moon. Those new moons it's not a high Shabbat day. You don't start counting your new week by that day. It's just a new moon. It can fall in the middle of the week. It starts the month. It doesn't start the week. Okay, it starts the month. The head of the year is the first sighted moon after the barley in Israel is found to be Aviv. Okay? And if it's not Aviv, then another month is added. And simply, it's kind of like you're thinking not necessarily months, but barley harvest to barley harvest. Okay. The rhythm that I showed you, these little sheets, I am going to hopefully send out to you too. So how do you celebrate Rosh Hashanah? So for us, I just wanted to go quickly over this. How do you celebrate Rosh Hashanah? There are a million ways you could celebrate Rosh Hashanah. As an Ezer Kenegdo of your home, you're going to help your family mark the moment of Rosh Hashanah so that you all can start counting 14 days. So, hey, put a big note on your window and say day 1, day 2, day 3. So help your family count the days. But we throw a big Hawaiian party. All right, tomorrow night, if we do it tomorrow night, it's going to be a small Hawaiian party. But if we do it in a month, then it's going to be a big one. I'll invite lots of people. But at our Hawaiian party, we do a top 10 list. Top 10 list as far as the year has gone. How fun is that? We do piñata. We have tropical food, tropical drink. We dress up. We just pretend that we're in the tropics. We pretend we're in paradise. This is why we chose a Hawaiian party, is to think about paradise and paradise being restored, how exciting that's going to be. And then we reflect on the past year with a year-end letter or journal or a Yah letter. So I don't have it with me, but in my video that I'm editing right now, almost done. Hopefully we'll have that up tomorrow or the next day. A Yah letter. So write Papa a letter, like how do you feel about this last year? What things are undone? What things do I need from you? What things do I love about you? What things did you come through for me on? So you make a note of those, and then you open it the next year and see how he came through for you.
And then also to our Rosh Hashanah party for our drink.
Yeah.
We use it's called Pinata Colada, and it's really good.
Yes.
It's with the pineapple coconut juice we put in.
Yeah.
And some other kinds of stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
And put whipped cream on top.
Yes.
Of it.
Ooh, so good. Or
Really
sometimes
good.
ice cream.
Yeah.
One year, our very first year at the teepee, we struggled to celebrate Rosh Hashanah because we didn't have electricity and stuff. So we actually, everybody got in their PJs, we got in the back of the truck, and we drove to a neighbor's house and plugged into their electricity. And we sat in the back of the truck, and we had root beer floats, and I had my computer set up, and we looked through family photos and videos from the last year. It was a fabulous, fun time. I'm sure that we had the truck on so it would be warm. And all right, also, I have to say that I need some encouragement. I need some support, some more. So I need financial support to continue to do this as I'm doing it over full time, and I love giving my life away, and I want to do that. It's just I also have expenses, like I want to get a proper stereo here to use and equipments and stuff, but also like got to feed my family a little bit too. So anyway, that I hate asking for the support, but I know that you all love me, and I know that you want me to keep doing this. So if you want me to keep doing this, then I need your offerings. Also, I want to lift up my husband, Isaac. I know that each one of you has huge things you're dealing with in your own family. I mean, and so I take it. I am very respectful of that, and I don't by any means want to sound like our family issues are any worse or trump all of yours, but I am jealous for your prayers for my husband. I know you have your own needs, but I want to know if you would lift him up in your prayers. Now his back is injured. So hopefully this week he can rest it, and we'll go to the chiropractor and stuff, and hopefully it'll be fine. But anyway, long story to tell you that I am jealous for your prayers, and I love my husband, and I need him, and I need him to, be well and to be happy. So anyway, I love you, Isaac. I know you're watching, and I pray for you all the time, Isaac, and I hope that you will find your joy in, in Yahovah, and not in the circumstances that are hard that you find yourself in. Our joy needs to reside in the permanence of Yahovah, not in the temporary things of right now. These things are temporary, and there's going to be so much thrown at us. We have to find our joy in the permanence and the goodness of Yahovah and his heart towards you. And I know that he has a good heart. I know that we just need to remember. Okay. All right. Oh, picture of us. Yeah. The front of the truck. Can't wait till he goes. So if it is a Rosh Hashanah tomorrow at the noon moon, then Lashana Tova. Oh wait, no, Lashana Tova is, yeah, Lashana Tova. I'm so tired, yeah. That would be, otherwise it's Shabbat Tov. So that concludes my show today. Yes, one thing that, I guess I should say I learned this morning is that there's a really cool Zadok's growth scale that you could download. Zadok's growth scale about how the barley, how wheat, how grain develops and the stages and stuff. And they were telling us this morning what stage that the barley around Jerusalem was and what stage the barley in the land was, and they're two totally different things. So Jerusalem is higher in elevation than the rest of the land, and so the barley becomes Aviv later. It's colder up there. It's just, so everything in the lower down is going to ripen earlier or faster than that in Jerusalem. So, all right, may you have a fabulous week. I will see you next weekend for Shabbat, and maybe tomorrow. We'll see. I don't know.